Welcome to the Magic on the Inside podcast by the Sisters Enchanted, where we chat magic, hot topics, personal development, and good old-fashioned life. Brew up something delicious and sit with us for a spell.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Magic on the Inside podcast. This is an Astro forecast for the week ahead of August 23rd. So we're going to be talking about that week from like Monday through the weekend. And our theme this week is Think On. Think On. Sarah, what does it mean to think on?
Well, we really need, there's a lot of Mercury activity going this week. So it's all about communication and thinking, but we're going to have to be quite clear and quite switched on with it, as you will see. So think on, like.
And I was saying, when we were talking about this, I was thinking of the Aerosmith song Dream On, but in my head I was going, think on.
You are.
Cool. So you're welcome, everybody, for that.
I love it.
Hope that song's in all of your heads today.
Yeah. Oh, when you hear the first one you hear in the morning, sometimes it's with you all day.
Yes. You're welcome.
I'll get one back, don't you worry. One day I'll think of something now. I'll think on.
Yes.
So we have Mercury opposite Neptune Monday to Wednesday. So this can actually be quite foggy and confusing. We might misperceive people. People might misperceive us, so that might lead to miscommunications that could blow up and get how these things can happen when it was just a little miscommunication. So you need to really think on there. And also it might be difficult to perceive what's reality and what is illusion with that going on as well. Also what's important and what's noise as well. Like, is that an important thing, or is that just background noise? Do I really need to think on that? Well, do I need to think on that? It could be quite difficult. So it's a good to kind of avoid making decisions and plans just for these 3 days, or anything that's kind of mentally complicated or taxing. If you've got some task to do that's quite mentally complicated, it might be not a good time for that. Interestingly, it can be the time that's not that good to trust your intuition as well, and to trust your psychic abilities. But Neptune is retrograde, so that means we're not quite as foggy as we could be here, but still perhaps switch off for a couple of days, like really think on things. If is that reality, is that noise, is that important? Perhaps it's a good few days to just use your imagination. Imagination is great for these days, so do something that's imaginative. You can do something esoteric or mystical as well. So though maybe your psychic abilities and intuition may be a little bit, I'm not sure if I can trust that, it's a good time to do some learning in sort of esoteric and mystical way, or just relax with a good fantasy book or a good fantasy series or a good fantasy film. It's a good day for that.
I love me some like really super smutty, not appropriate, mystical, fantastical books. I had a conversation with somebody one day who was like a very intellectual person, and they were like, "Oh, I hear you read a lot." And I was like, yeah. They were like telling me about all these like smart books they read. And I say smart loosely because they were like history books and things like that. Or things with like some meat to them. And he was like, "So what do you read?" And I was like, "Oh, things." I read the things, and I didn't know what to say. I mean, I read all sorts of things, but I was like, my Kindle might be something to blush at, and I have nothing to recommend to somebody as yourself. So yes, I read and do things. So it sounds like this week, so with watching your communications, it sounds like you don't want to if you have a communication and it starts to go a little bit awry, is that you don't want to perpetuate your thinking cycles, because you might hear something wrong in your mind, and then you might perseverate on it, and then all of a sudden you think that something else is happening that was never happening, because that little bit of communication went a little bit off. And that's what you're talking about, like your intuition, because sometimes when you start thinking about things, you start overthinking, especially if you're an intuitive person or somebody who's working on your intuition. Like, am I being you start overthinking, and then you're like, is this like something I need to know? And then like you all of a sudden think that all these things are happening, or this person's doing this to you, or this person said this, when really none of that happened. You got caught in like a very airy cycle in your mind where you started to overthink things. So it's not a really good time to have a communication. And if you think a communication may have gone slightly off center, that maybe you just try to like clear that from your mind.
Yeah.
And let it go and revisit it later.
You do, and when Mercury moves to Libra on Sunday, that could be a good way to go back, because you might be like, okay, I have some clarity now.
Did I hear that right on Sunday?
Exactly. Is when Mercury's in Libra, it's kind of a really good sign for negotiations and for compromises and to find the middle ground, of course. And so it might be, if anything has gone awry, because we've also in a minute we're going to talk about Mercury also trining Pluto. So if you have had some miscommunications or some misrepresentations that have kind of like caused you or somebody else to kind of go a little bit like not focusing on the reality of the situation, and then with Pluto like really getting that deep and really feeling that deep and like, or feeling like you've been lied to and all these things that could happen this week, Sunday could be a good day to arrange to go and chat with somebody to put things to rights. Or from Sunday onwards anyway, Sunday into next week, a good time to go and put these things to rights. So don't worry, you've got something coming in that can help later on. Yes. So Mercury trines Pluto Tuesday to Friday. So you've got to remember that on Tuesday and Wednesday, you're going to have these two energies going on together, which could further make things difficult. So this is great for deep communication and for looking deep inside yourself, that deep kind of like bringing some of your kind of emotions and intuitive things that you could do with your logical mind working on in terms of shadow work. It's great for that. So go deep, bring out what needs to be looked at. We love shadow work at the Sisters Enchanted, as you know. Your brain could be super powerful during this time. So after Wednesday, we said like it's not good to like Mercury opposite Neptune isn't going to be a good time for complicated things, but after Wednesday, so between Wednesday and Friday, if you have got some complex tasks, it's going to be a really good time, because it really like your brain's going to be really useful, really super powerful. So anything that needs a bit of brain power, it's a good time for that. Now it's a good time for debate and bargaining and negotiating, because you can be super convincing when Mercury is working well, because remember trine the energies are flowing well with Pluto, but beware before Wednesday, because of course your perception of reality could be a little bit difficult, your perception of what's real and what's not real. So somebody could lie to you super well, but then also you could lie to other people really well, because if we've got this kind of trine Pluto kind of overlapping on Wednesday with on Tuesday and Wednesday with this Mercury opposite Neptune, that means that it's going to make us even better at being able to lie to people and mislead people, but for us to be misled as well. So I would avoid kind of negotiations and that sort of thing that this can bring you until after Wednesday. And then after Wednesday, it's a really good time to have an intuitive or a psychic reading as well. That could be really transformational for you. So once you've got over the fog of Wednesday, I think be careful, because on Tuesday and Wednesday, you've got this kind of like overriding, like this kind of this combination of Mercury opposite Neptune and trine Pluto. So you've got that possibility to be that fog, plus people lying and perhaps you and deceiving you, and perhaps you lying and deceiving others. Remember, we are not just lied to and deceived, we do it to others as well. So kind of I would say the Mercury trine Pluto energy, maybe just shelve it a little bit, just let the Tuesday and Wednesday run, and then really from Wednesday to Friday make use of it in terms of this deep thinking, deep discussions, those roughly like late night deep discussions. Like you might meet somebody that's going to have a real deep transformative impact on you through conversation. Great time to have readings, they could be really transformational and using that powerful mind and powerful communication. So maybe wait till Wednesday for it.
So in a conclusive statement, it is the week as themed, think on. It is kind of a check yourself before you wreck yourself week. If a
Yes.
conversation starts to seem like it's going awry, just say, you know what, let's put this on the back burner and circle back to it another time. If you are running into somebody who, or yourself, and you're thinking that like maybe you're not being authentic or they're not being authentic to you, check yourself before you dig yourself into a hole you can't get out of. And as Sarah said, we love shadow work here at the Sisters Enchanted. And that is like such a huge portion of astrology, because it's in these moments that when you have this awareness of like a forecast, like we're doing the week ahead, and you find yourself in a position that like maybe you're not being authentic, or you're being misleading, or even telling like a little kind of white lie to kind of save yourself, but then being like, wait a minute, I'm doing that thing that I was maybe prone to do during this week, and I'm doing it. And then it's that awareness that you can make you like stop, take a second, and then try to get yourself out of it and be aware that you're doing it. And that's the shadow work. You're doing it right there in that moment when you're like, hey, I just realized that I'm, talking over somebody, or I'm not telling the truth, or we were just talking about this before we hit record, I just got defensive. I just made excuses instead of, taking ownership. And that's the shadow work. It's when you do it in the now, because you were made aware of something about yourself that you can nip in the moment. And that's what's so important about shadow work. And then you keep doing it. We all have tendencies to do things over and over again.
Oh yeah.
And it's the awareness to break the cycle of doing it over and over again, which is so good for you and your shadow work, and breaking patterns, especially family patterns and things like that, because you see that in astrology also. So this week, check yourself before you wreck yourself. Think on.
Yes.
Think on.
Yeah. And we have some other things. We've got like Venus is trine Saturn, so we've got some stuff there which you can have a look at. If you go into the show notes in the app, you'll find some other things that are happening this week as well.
Yes, the app, which you've heard us talk about, the Sisters Enchanted. You just look it up in your device app store, or check it out on your computer at thesistersenchanted.com/app, so you can see all the good things. And if you want to read something in text, your whole show notes of everything that's happening are in there. And that's a great way to even print them out, keep them aside to journal on, or track astrological happenings, or lunar track, whatever it is that you do or journal. So get in there, get the show notes, learn more about your week ahead, and really, tackle all things with your forward knowing of what's happening that week. So I think that's pretty much it.
Yep.
Great, Sarah. All right. So yeah, thank you all for joining us for another Astro Forecast, brought to you by the Magic on the Inside podcast. Again, I'm Anna, which I don't think I introduced myself in the beginning of this one, but I'm the co-founder of the Sisters Enchanted. Thank you so much for joining us. I know Sarah says thank you for joining us. She's one of our team members and Expedition Astrology teachers. So Sarah, thank you so much for being here. And I hope everybody has an enchanted rest of your day ahead. Bye now.